you're going to put something at the center of your life, and that thing will ultimately define you.
Sometimes it takes a trial or a storm to realize, oh man, I think I'm out to sea.
It's starting by saying, your will wins. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Summit Park Church Podcast, where we're helping people find and follow Jesus. So glad you're joining us today. And I'm joined with my good friend, Mr. Nathan Teegarden.
Yo.
And we are breaking down a little bit of content that we covered this past weekend. We're talking about Jesus being over everything, and we're going to be talking about identity.
Let's go.
It's going to be fun. I'm pumped to jump into this. And really, this whole Jesus over everything series is something that has been on my heart for a while now, because I just it's such a thing, right? How capable we are to make other things the most important thing.
Yeah. I think it's so easy to make other things more important than Jesus, like all day long. Yeah. Like you're just bombarded by stuff. Yeah. So I think being able to do this series to just help everybody know and understand, like this is it right here. Yes. And I think we talk about it a lot. It's almost like it comes up in every sermon, but I think we need to hear it.
Yeah.
And to be able to have a series that just really hits it head on. Yeah. Like this is the thing that's most important. Jesus over everything in your life.
Yeah. The verse we used when we launched this at Vision was the story of the Israelites. Moses goes up the mountain and he's getting the law. He's getting the 10 Commandments. God's, downloading how he's going to lead his people and the expectations and requirements he has for his people, because he wants to bring them life, and it's going to be so encouraging. And so Moses is coming down. He's met with God. It's just this great and encouraging moment. As he's coming down, he hears the people partying because they've literally made all of their jewelry, all of their gold into a golden image that they're worshiping and bowing down to. And I think, we talked about this at Vision, but I thought it was just so hilarious. The verse kind of just, it hit me when Aaron's talking and he's like, on the people, they just came and they brought the stuff and, I just threw it in the fire and out came this calf.
Yeah, dude, that is, I've read that every time I come across it, 1 year Bible reading plan. It's just hilarious. It's just so like you wanted to be there in that moment. It's like, what are you talking about? You're not taking ownership, bro. Yeah. Like, this is your fault. Yeah. And you led them there, and it's also the people's fault. But don't act like you didn't know what happened.
Yeah. It came up in our small group, and it was funny that we were talking about how Moses was like, because Moses is Aaron's brother. They're brothers, and so Moses is the one who wrote Exodus, and so he's making sure that gets in there,
right?
And Aaron had to be like, oh man, come on, seriously, dude, don't put that in there. Come on, can you just leave that out?
Yeah, you want me to write this chapter? I got this one. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Moses is like, no, I'm putting that in there, that you said that. Yep. And out came this calf. But anyways, it's funny, and yet it's not funny, because we have such a tendency to put other things as the main thing in our life. And it's like, we keep coming back to these, whatever it could be. And we've talked about how it could be, and a lot of times it's good things. Things like the things that God has blessed us with, our family. We put our family or our jobs. Like it's a gift from God. God has blessed us with our talents, whatever it might be. The blessings, the physical blessings. We can make those things that are supposed to be reminders of the goodness of God and gifts from God. We make those things God to us. We bow down, we worship Him, we give Him our priority. And any time that happens, it's going to go bad for us. Chaos ensues.
Yeah, absolutely. What I love about that story too is that the Israelites, Moses was gone in a sense, like the God representative was gone, and now they're like, hey, we need something to replace that. Well, this is the God who take us, and it's like, no. That's I think we can all relate to that when God seems distant, or whether it's our choice, or maybe like God is trying to teach us something, grow our faith a little bit. Is will we replace him with the golden calf?
Right.
Will we say, you know what, I can't handle this distance, or like, God, we don't know where he is, even though he did all those miracles.
Right.
Like the Israelites, they saw all the things that God had done, and Moses wasn't gone that long. Right, I mean, a little over a month. I mean, like, come on, and you can't erase all the miracles, and yet we do the same thing.
Yeah, we do.
You know, it's like God did this and this and this, and yet in a season where we just feel like God's distant, or maybe we get distracted with something else.
Yeah.
Now we say, you know what, I'm going to replace. I don't think we make that intentional effort like the Israelites did, but oftentimes we can replace them in our hearts.
Yeah, yeah.
And now it's something else is more important because it's something I can hold on to versus God is in a distant. And it's like, man, that's Jesus needs to be in that place. He needs to be the one that is the one we look to, whether he's distant, maybe in a time of testing our faith, or we maybe are self-sabotage. We've distracted ourselves.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking about the power of remembering. Because you're saying the Israelites, how quickly they forgot.
So, yes.
How quickly they forgot. Oh, no, God is the one who brought us out. So we're not going to go worship some gold jewelry that, another thing, the gold jewelry, a lot of it was probably the Egyptians.
Oh, yeah,
that
100%.
They plundered from. I was just thinking about that.
Absolutely was.
And so it's like, we're going to worship this jewelry that God blessed us with as we were coming out of our captivity. And it's just like, it's such a trap. It's like, I mean, thousands of years later, we're doing the same thing, and yet the power of remembrance. How power it is just to pause and be like, Lord, no, you're the one who did this. And sometimes it's like stirring our remembrance. This is what communion is great for. It's like reminding ourselves what the Lord has done in our lives, and that the Lord is the one who has done it.
Super good.
So Jesus over everything. We're talking about this. I think it's going to be a great series. The Lord is doing a work in my heart in this series, and I'm excited to see what happens in the church. Obviously, first week was identity, talking about how Jesus needs to be over our identity, and how in today's society that this is becoming such a challenge for so many people. There is a tendency for us, and we talked about some of the stats here, there's a tendency for us to fabricate our identity because we want to present ourselves well online. We want to make sure we're curated. We want to make sure all the little Photoshop stuff has been done. Everything's looking good, and it's all coming across the way that we want to. That our branding is good. That our facade is good. That our image is good. That's what we want. We want to present that way. We want people thinking good things about us. And what's interesting is how that's messing people up today. We talked about this stat, 58% of adolescents report feeling pressured to conform to societal expectations, and that's leading to identity struggles. And that and then that goes on, that ends up resulting in 75% of Gen Zers right now feel like they are disconnected between their online persona and their real self. 75%.
The vast majority.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That most of Gen Z feels like I'm one way here, but I'm just and when you think about that, like, and I was talking to my son the other day about this because I think it's so important. I told him, I said, your integrity outside of your salvation, outside of your walk with the Lord, your integrity is the most important thing about you.
That's good.
And I don't know if that's like 100% true. I'm not, sometimes you just say stuff when you're a dad. And
just say it confident.
I'm just saying, but I was like, do not compromise your integrity because it's where you base your life out. You're basing your life out of it. And again, that ties in with that verse, Proverbs, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. So like, it's so crazy that the enemy wants to rip us apart. He wants to tear us apart because when we are torn apart, when we don't have integrity, then we're not able to be the people that God has called us to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the first time, in history or recent history that we've been able to have such a ability to adjust our persona and how things are perceived. I mean, I can record something. I can take a picture of myself, but I can do all kinds of things right after that. I can adjust it. I can kind of fabricate the story a little bit, embellish it maybe a little bit, and I can even set it up. you know?
Right.
And now with AI, it's like hard to even know what's real and what's not.
Totally.
And it's like, oh my gosh, we're going into such new territory here. But I mean, the ability, you know, back in the day, you couldn't do that. You actually had to live it. You know, you actually had to be that. It was, you know, your friends were like literally your friends that could see you, and they knew
who you were.
They knew who you were, you know, and you couldn't have thousands of friends online that only see this part of you. So now the temptation, and you're rewarded for doing it.
Yeah.
So like I put that persona up, and
Right.
listen, I've been guilty of this, or I want to paint a picture that's nicer than it really was. But you know what? You get likes, you get comments. Oh my goodness. Oh my, that's so awesome. So amazing. Man, that's a dopamine hit right in the, I'm like, well, now I'm motivated to do it again.
Yeah.
And that is accessible to everybody in the world now.
Yeah.
And now no wonder we can live a double life.
Yeah.
No wonder I can have this life that I'm wanting people to see and perceive, which is rewarded. And then I've got the real me over here. And then that starts to then work against discontentment.
You know, as you were saying that, I was thinking about how you said back in the day, people just used to know you. And I thought, that's so true. They used to know you, and they liked you in spite of you.
Yep.
They knew you. They knew all your weaknesses. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we used to be able to like make fun of each other, you know,
Yeah,
like
right,
we pick
right,
on each other. Be like,
yeah,
oh man,
didn't
you're
get
so
offended
good.
about
Yeah.
everything.
Like, yeah, we just kind of pick at each other. But there was like a love and an affection for who that person was. Cause like, you're in my world.
Right.
And so I love you as you are.
Yeah.
And I think like that is a problem. That is part of this whole identity struggle is people are like, man, you don't know me. All you know is this.
Yeah.
So you don't, there's no way you could love this. And I think that pushes us in further isolation.
Absolutely.
Because now we're like, I don't want anybody to see the real me. So I have to keep this facade.
You got to keep it up. Yeah, you got to absolutely got to keep it up. And I think it definitely that audience that you have out there, it's like, man, I don't want them to see, you know, just like you're saying, I don't want them to see the real me. So now I've got to continue this, you know, vicious cycle.
Yeah.
It really is a vicious cycle. And I think it also works against contentment, because while you get a dopamine hit from the likes and the comments and all that stuff, keep coming back to the post and like, oh, who liked it now? Deep down, you know, it's not real.
Yeah.
Deep down, you know, like, man, they don't know the real me. Like, I'm just putting a facade. And I think that's where we get the anxiety, the discontentment, the frustration on the inside. Again, that double life that's going on. It's like, they don't really like me. But back in the day, you knew.
Yeah.
You knew.
You know who I really appreciate in my life now are people who have seen me when I have been at my weakest and when I've made mistakes and I've had to apologize for those things. And we've had to go through some stuff and be real with each other and forgive each other. Those relationships are the ones that I, you know, value so much, because it is this, they really do love me for who I am. We've worked through some stuff. We've grown together. I think that's, you know, again, this is total, I mean, it's off topic a bit, but that's the power of longevity of relationships, where it's like, man, I know you're not perfect, but I'm choosing to walk with you in spite of that. And I'm not just trying to tag on. And this is a whole other like side topic we talk about, but like people just grift off of others. They want to grift off of others' image, off of others' success, you know, and it's not real. It's not genuine. And so, and when someone's doing that, you know it. You know, and so it's like, oh, dude, you don't really love me. You're not really interested in me. And I think, again, this just ends up creating this instability in people's identity, and also an isolation that keeps people from engaging for real. Yeah. And so the good news is, obviously, as we're talking about in the series, we have an answer, and his name is Jesus. Yeah, and absolutely. And I loved the passage, which I think you sent me, this Colossians 3, as we were doing the research for this, Colossians 3, which, as I got into it, man, I was just so pumped about it. Obviously, he's writing to the new church. So it's a recent church that's been started there in Colossae, modern day Turkey, and they have been threatened by false teaching that is diluting Christ's supremacy. And so there was a heresy that was coming in, and it was probably a blend of Gnosticism and Jewish legalism. And it's tempting believers to look beyond Jesus for their spiritual fulfillment and their spiritual fullness. And so it's tempting these believers to find a golden calf. So I mean, it's like this again, this ancient story. For them, it was recent, and for us, it's recent as well.
Yeah.
But Colossians 3, there was so much good there that we looked at, and I just want to read the first couple of verses here. There's so much good stuff here. But since then, you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things, for you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you will also appear with him in glory. And then he goes on, he talks about all the sinful things, all the sinful activities, and then he goes on to talk about the labels, which was, again, something that that hit me so powerful. At the end, here there is no Gentile or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. I love that, because it was just like, we, and our society, our culture loves labels. I'm going to label somebody.
Yeah.
And not only I'm going to label somebody, but we label ourselves. Everybody's managing their brand. Well, I'm this, or I'm that, and I've got, all these and we talked about bios, how growing up, no one had a bio.
Yeah, no
one gave thought to their bio when I was in high school. And so, but now you have to, like, I get it. Like, if you're going to, like, even for like interviewing, like social media, like we knock it a lot, but like it's a real thing.
Right.
You have to have like some social media presence. In fact, like I've heard that people are advising young people that they need to have some social media presence, so like that they know who they are, but make sure that it's clean. Otherwise, employers are going to be like, no,
they'll look you up.
They're looking you up. So anyway, so all of this is about identity. And so we talked about three main things, and I think it'd be fun just to tease this out a little bit more. But identity is something you receive, not something you earn. Identity begins with a name change, and then it's secured by who sits on the throne of our lives. Obviously, first thought is it's something you receive, not something you earn. And the lie is that we have to earn it, right? That we have to make ourselves, we have to build ourselves.
Yeah.
And that just totally works against being able to receive the identity that God has for us.
Yeah, I think we're, as humans, it makes sense that you if you want something, you got to work for it, and like much of life is that way.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of life that isn't. I mean, you think about, like, I'm a son, and I'm gonna always be a son of my parents. Like, that was like, I didn't earn that. That was just given to me,
right?
And my family, is a gift. And there's a lot of things that are not earned. They're just, they are. And when it comes to this whole idea of salvation, this is what Paul is keying in on, and often keys in on in other places in the New Testament. He is appealing to those he's writing to and saying, listen, you don't want to act this way over here, because that's not actually who you are.
Yeah.
So it's like a different way of thinking.
Right.
When you think about religion, most people think of, okay, you got to act a certain way. You got to sit up a little straighter, think clean thoughts, do the right thing.
Yeah.
But Christianity, what Jesus brought online, was different than that. And Paul is trying to help those in Colossae see that, listen, you're actually, he's talking about the spiritual things. He's saying, listen, since then you have been raised. That's past tense. Like, if you're a Christian, Jesus, he's talking about the spiritual life, the thing that came online. You were dead in your trespasses. You were not alive, not responding spiritually speaking. And when you became a Christian, he made you alive. Just like Jesus rose from the dead, now you rose from the dead because of what he did for you. And that was not earned.
Bro.
That was given as a gift, and it changes who you are, changes who I am. And because of that, from that place, now I can act holy.
Yeah, man.
I mean, there's other things that help me too,
Right.
the Holy Spirit, all kinds of things, scripture, fellowship, all of those things, help me. But it's got to start with this. That's why I love that we started with identity.
Yeah.
Because if we get this right, now everything else is downstream from there.
100%.
So anyway, that's why I get a little fired up about it, because this was a big deal for me. My personality tends to be like, kind of perfectionistic. What are the rules? Like, just tell me what the rules are. I want to follow the rules.
Yeah.
And early on, I didn't really, I knew about church, but I didn't grow up in church. And I got radically saved when I was in high school. And I was just trying my best to do what I knew. I was like, okay, I got to be holy. I got to do the right thing.
Right.
But God slowly showed me through the scriptures, through attending church, through other relationships, mentors in my life, that it's like, no. you operate from a place that you are holy.
Right.
Because Jesus made that, he changed your identity.
Right.
And from there, now let's act holy.
Yeah.
That's what Paul is trying to show them.
Yeah.
That's like, that's spiritually speaking, you are alive, you're with Christ. Nothing sinful there. Now we can choose to still sin in our body, but why would we do that?
Yeah.
We've been transformed. And it's from that place that the motivation comes from.
So positionally, we are right with God. And I love that. Again, it's so fun when you read verses. I mean, we memorized this verse, I think, in Master's Commission.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, golly, I know this verse, but man, when I thought about since you have been raised, you have been raised. So the whole picture is you were dead. You used to be dead, but you're not dead anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
Just as Jesus overcame death, hell, and the grave, your spirit is now alive. You have a different spirit. Like that's so cool. And that goes again, the 2 Corinthians 5:17. You are a new creation.
Yes.
New, like literally, God, there is new life inside of us. It's no longer us who live, but it's Christ who lives in us. We have been raised. We have overcome spiritual darkness. We have resurrection power, newness of life. So he's like, since you've been raised, then set your hearts on things above. And so it's something that he does first. He gives us first, and we live in result of that. And we talked about how Paul in Philippians, he gives all of his accomplishments. He's got heritage, he's got morality, he's got education, he's got status. He's got all of the things in that day that people are going to be like, that's what you want. In that day, Paul was the man. He was the man. He'd be walking around and he would be like, do you know who I am? Do you know where I'm from? Do you know what my heritage is? Do you know who I study under? Do you know how perfect I'm a Pharisee? I've got all of this. I do all of the right things. Do you know who I am? And he would have and he's like, man, I used to do that. And now I look at it and I'm like, it's nothing. Like that is garbage to me because I know, I love it. I consider them garbage that I may gain Christ and be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own that comes from the law, but that which is through faith. Man, that is just so stinking powerful because I don't have to perform my way to God. My identity is received from him. And so the things that I've done, great, man, it's for his glory. The things that I've messed up on, the things that would bring me shame, now I'm covered. It's covered by the blood. I have been raised. And even if of course, we know we continue to mess up as believers. We are still being raised. It's like this idea of being raised, being changed into ever increasing likeness, into the Lord.
It's so good. I was thinking of, it's the difference between when you get something at Christmas and what you earn in a paycheck because you worked. And, because our mindset can be, that was the Pharisees' ways. That was Paul, as you were saying, Philippians 3. It's like what he had earned, but he gave all that up because when he knew it actually didn't lead to life. It didn't lead to forgiveness. It didn't lead to a relationship with God. I mean, what this whole thing is about, it didn't lead to eternal life. And he realized, no. It's by faith that I actually experience that life. And it's the same way on Christmas that you get a gift, you just receive it. It's just like, I didn't pay for this thing. I didn't earn this thing. I didn't sweat. I didn't work hard. What I did was I just, thank you. Like that's not work. That's just receiving it. And that's what salvation is. It's so beautiful. And it's so, it makes sense why Jesus had such a challenging time with the Pharisees because the Pharisees were all about earning, doing, the law, like obeying all the things. And he came to show them, no, you'll never earn salvation. You never have a relationship with me. And so that's what's so beautiful is he changes our identity. Yet sometimes I think the confusing thing can be is like, wait, but we're supposed to still be holy, right? We're supposed to still, but if you get it backwards, you'll never really do as well. You'll just have to grit your teeth and try really hard. But when you get it in the right order, identity first.
Yeah.
This is who God has made me. My life is now hidden with Christ in God. Like that's
Right.
such a beautiful statement.
Yeah.
My life is hidden. Like Satan can't find it.
Right.
He can't get to it.
Right.
Like it's hidden in Christ.
Take it, yeah.
And now I'm in that position. Now from that place, now I can do all the things that it goes on to say, in the rest of Colossians chapter 3, where it gives very practical examples. You used to walk in these ways in the life you once lived, but now you must also rid yourself of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, filthy language from your lips. So it's not that, okay, I got the gift, I can do whatever I want. No, it's from that place. Now I get to live a new life.
Yeah.
That actually brings life, because all those things bring death anyway. I mean, you just do that for a little bit and your life will be terrible. Yeah. And God wants to save us from that while we're still here on this earth.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. I mean, I could just talk about this forever. It's so cool that from that place, when you get that in the right order, and when I finally realized that in my relationship with God, man, it made so many things came online with me.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't constantly feel like I was in this transactional relationship with God, where it was almost like fear-based, like, oh, I got to make sure I do this because God will be mad at me.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm his son.
It's free.
I've been adopted.
Yeah.
I've been chosen by the Father, and all I need to do is just walk in that. Now, I still make mistakes.
Yeah.
I still stumble. Yes, I do need to go and ask for forgiveness, and it's like, God, I'm going to do better. Help me with this. That's all still a part of it, but it's always in the place of, I know I'm a child.
Yeah.
And all the parents out there know this with their own children. Like their sonship or daughtership doesn't change when they make a mistake.
Right.
They still are your son or daughter.
Yeah.
That identity piece has got to be there. But I think for us as Christians is that we've got to make sure that we embrace that truth. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah. It's the difference between auditioning and receiving your adoption. It's like, and I think this is what we talked about that, but I think when Jesus is talking about the Pharisees who love to stand, in the street corners and in the synagogues, praying these big, flowery, look at me type of prayers. It's like they're auditioning to get God to like them. God, can you see how awesome I am? Do you see how I'm not like these sinners? In fact, there was that one where, it was a real story where he's like, look at how great I am. I'm not like this sinner. And Jesus is like, no, this is the person whose heart is like, they're humble, they're contrite, they're close to, like, you just receive in a humble expression of gratitude and thanksgiving. Lord, you love me because you love me.
Right.
And not because of what I've done for you.
Yeah.
And
so good.
it's received. And I think it's so important because even in Christianity, we can get back to these dotting of I's and crossing T's, and we can become Pharisees, and so many Christians do. And it's so sad because these are the people that Jesus was the most antagonistic with, the Pharisees.
Well, and I think it comes back to kind of full circle on the calf story that we started out with, is that people oftentimes, and I've been guilty of this, is that it's easier to do something than to trust God. And I think it's easier, like, okay, God, I'd just rather obey a rule than have to trust you in this circumstance. Or I feel like things aren't going my way, so I'm going to do the old, if I do this, then God will do this.
Right.
So if I obey all these things and make all the, then maybe I'll earn enough to get him to do this. And that's so backwards. God wants us to trust him, open-handed, free, trust in his goodness, even when I don't understand. I think maybe the Israelites were at that place where they were like confused, and rather than trust something that they couldn't see, they rather create something that was not true, but at least it was physical in front of them.
Well, and they could control it.
They could control
it.
That's
the thing with all of religion and with all of this brand management. It's like, I can control this perfectly curated image that I present to everybody. But if you see me and I get angry, or you see me and I say the wrong thing or whatever, now I can't change that. I can't control that. So I don't want you to see that. I only want you to see what I can control. And again, that's where that disconnect happens.
Right.
And that's where it's like, no, Lord, you love me. You have forgiven me. I have been raised with Christ. So my identity is that and not what I do.
Right. Yeah, that's so good. Well, I loved how you opened with the ocean illustration and just that boat that was out to sea and thankfully they got rescued or whatever. And I think, that's the same is true of us, is whatever we're anchored
Yes.
to, because the storms are going to come.
They
I mean,
are.
Jesus literally said a parable similar to that in Matthew chapter 7 about the person that built their house on the foundation, basically built it on Christ. Like my identity is going to be in Christ, so that when storms come, because they are going to come, I can't control that. I know that this house is going to stand. And I think the same is true. You're going to have stuff happen in your life that's not great, not fun. You're going to we all make mistakes. We all do stuff. But when we can come back to that place of, but I'm anchored to the thing that is immovable, the Lord himself, man, you can weather about any storm. You truly can weather any storm.
That's it.
And I think, but when you're not anchored to that, oftentimes the storm exposes it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we can say we're anchored to the Lord, but just, it takes a storm. I know that's true of my own life. It's like, man, the finances get tight. And it's like, why? I've got anxiety. I'm frustrated. I'm upset at God. I'm like trying to figure out, I'm just going to, work harder and just rather than like, that seems easier than just trusting God. And it exposes that my anchor is maybe more money than, the number in my bank account than it is in, no, God's my provider. So if I have 0 in my bank account, God will provide. He already promised that. If I have $1 million in my bank account, it's not mine anyway. So if he took it, it doesn't matter because he's my provider. That is easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure.
But sometimes it takes a trial or a storm to realize, oh man, I think I'm out to sea.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm anchored to anything. So anyway, it was a good visual for me to see that.
And what's interesting is you're saying that too, because like even if you had $1 million, which wouldn't that be cool if you did have $1 million in your bank account? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, what's that like?
But even if you did, or even if you had $10 million, or even if you had $100 million in your bank account, it still doesn't make you any more secure.
No.
Because you could get a disease, you could get hit by. I mean, I'm not trying to speak this out there, okay, everybody. I'm not trying to speak this, but like you could have something catastrophic happen that your money can't. There is no security.
Yeah.
There is no security outside of God. So it's like you can try to manufacture your calf, whatever it is, and you're going to put your security in that. It is not going, no matter what it is. Yeah. You could build a bunker and seal yourself in it and, make sure nothing can get to you.
And some do.
Some do. And some do. Nothing wrong with the preppers out there. We love you, preppers. Shout out. Nothing wrong with that. But you could do all of that and like trip on a rake and like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to speak that over anybody's life, but you know what I'm saying? Like you can't, at the end, I guess what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, either God is God or he's not.
Yeah.
And you have to square that.
Yeah.
You have to square that in your soul. And if he is God, then he's worthy of trust. And you might as well go all in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's so good. And again, going back to that, the ocean thing, I mean, you're going to have, storms in your life. And it's like, do you really want to be anchored to money? Do you really want to be anchored to another human being? Do you really want to be anchored? Those things all fail. They all are not, they're not real.
Yeah.
Like they're not meant, I'll say it this way. They're not meant to hold you.
No.
Only the Lord is meant to hold you.
And that goes back to the whole thing, and we started about, is that these are gifts. Everything on this earth is a gift from God. James talks about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That every good and perfect gift comes from above. So every good thing that God has given us, and again, even with the Israelites, God gave them the plunder from Egypt.
Yep.
So it's all of these gifts are from the Lord. They are gifts from the Lord to be worshiped or to worship God with. Say, God, thank you for these gifts. Lord, I thank you for your provision. I'm not going to worship these things. I'm going to worship you for providing these things.
Yeah.
So they're meant to be reminders of how good God is instead of replacing God in us. And if we make him the subject of our life, again, we will get so off track. We'll be so discouraged. If you make your status, you're going to be blown and tossed by the wind, and you will be so tore up.
Right.
And you're going to be out to sea. And so, it's something that's received, not earned. I also talked about how it starts with a name change. So identity begins with a name change. And we talked a little bit about nicknames. I know you've got a few nicknames.
Yes. When I played football in high school, and they called me Spin Cycle.
Okay.
because I was running back and I would spin a lot to get away from the
Kind of like in Madden.
yes,
kinda like
yes, yeah. You just hit a little button and I would spin. Yeah, so that's what they called me.
Yeah, you've had a few nicknames. I've had a few nicknames. Obviously we've known each other for a long time, and it's fun because nicknames kind of reveal how people know you, you know, and how close they know you. And I love how Paul is saying, he's like, your life is now hidden with Christ in God. For you died. So for you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. Your name is that you are formerly dead. Your nickname is that you used to be the dead guy. You know, your name, you have been changed, and how that happens all throughout the Bible. You know, Abram to Abraham, Jacob to Israel. We talked about how Simon to Peter, like this is name change. He was Simon means swaying in the wind, a reed that is swaying in the wind, and then Jesus says, "I'm going to change your name to Rock." And so, you know, we talked about how Peter had to be feeling so good about himself after that. Be like, yeah,
so
did
good.
y'all hear that? Like, I mean, Jesus called me the Rock. I mean, I am going to be the one who brings all the, I mean, he had to be feeling great. He really did. I mean, you got to think, he's a real person. He had to be feeling amazing. Especially like looking at John, who called himself the one that Jesus loved, you know?
Yeah.
He had to be like, I don't know if you saw that, but Jesus just said, I'm going to be the Rock. And, but he wasn't the Rock yet.
Nope. In fact, not long after that, Jesus actually is like, "Get behind me, Satan."
Right.
He's like,
yeah.
So now he had to go from like, yeah, to, oh. Now we knew what Jesus was meaning by that, but that's what's so powerful is God will, in Romans, it says he calls things that are not as though they were, speaking about Abraham and calling him the father of many nations when Abraham had no children at the time.
Yeah.
And that's what's beautiful about God. He's like, hey, I know you don't see this right now, but this is true. And I'm going to say it as if it is true because when God says something, it is true. I mean, it's going to happen.
Right.
You know, it's going to take place. And when God changes our names, when he changes our identity, I mean, that even if we don't see all those truths, just like Peter, I'm sure after that moment, what Jesus said to him, you know, just a little bit later, or when he denied Christ shortly after that, I mean, like I'm not a rock. Like he can't build the church on me.
Right.
Like he had to fight that temptation, but what he had to come back to is that truth that no, Jesus said it, so it's true. While I am making mistakes. Yes, I am, you know, failing forward. I've got to know that if God said this, then it's got to be true.
So cool. His behavior did not nullify his position.
Yeah, that's
you know, it's just so cool. It's like, yeah, you're acting like the devil right now, but you're still the Rock.
Yep.
You're still the Rock because I'm going to make you the Rock.
Yeah.
You know, that's the beauty.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing. Like God is going to strengthen him, and he's going to have some rough moments.
Yeah. It's going to be a process.
He was going to deny Christ 3 times after that.
He's going to cut somebody's ear off.
He's going to make it about his anger and his aggressiveness. He was going to go back to fishing.
Yeah.
For fish instead of people. And so he was going to do some things that would compromise what God had called him to, but it still did not nullify the fact that Jesus said, "You are the Rock." And that's so beautiful. Positionally, he was.
Yeah.
Positionally, he was. And I think like holding on to that, being like, Lord, I'm going to allow you to call me what you want to call me.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously there's so many things that he does call us in Christ. There's so many things that we are forgiven. We're free. We're not going to operate by the world's labels of us or our own labels.
Yeah.
We're going to grab a hold of the labels that God has.
Yeah. I love the one, like we're adopted.
Yeah.
Because adoption is like when you have a child, like, you know, physically have a child, like they're by default your child, but adoption, you chose them.
Yeah.
And to think that God,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, he adopted me, like he picked me.
Right.
Like that says a lot. And I think that's powerful because it's like when you feel rejected by others for whatever reason, I know that God chose me. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I can rest in that.
Yeah.
From that place, now I can have the confidence that I need to do whatever he's asked me to do.
Yeah. Well, we talked about labels that we like to put over our lives. And so I talked about how I'm Polish, no surprise, with a last name like Obremski. I'm Polish, and come from a very Polish populated part of the country, Detroit, Michigan. What's up? Shout out 313. What's up? And there's a lot of Polish people there. There's a lot of good kielbasa there. Okay. And a lot of good pierogies there. And I'm Polish and proud. My family is Polish and proud. But we talked about how that is not the most important thing about me. And that label, or how I'm American, thankful for America, proud to be an American, thankful that God allowed me to grow up here. But that is not the most important thing about me. Taking those, because when those labels become the most important thing about me, they define us. Yeah. They define us, and they actually limit us from experiencing the ultimate label, which is I am a child of God. Yeah. That label is bigger than anything. It's greater than anything. It's more significant than any other label. So to grab a hold of the other labels, there's nothing wrong with being proud of your heritage. Nothing wrong with that. Like, that's cool. But don't make it the most important thing about you. Yeah. Because if it is, then you can't access the ultimate, which is being a child of the God who spoke the world into existence. Yeah,
you can only put your boat, so to speak, coming back to that illustration, you can only anchor to one thing.
That's good.
You know, and that's kind of your third point is like whatever's on the throne. You know, again, another illustration there. And again, I'm thankful to be an American. I think this is an important time to even say this but I cannot let. Being an American citizen is not meant to be the anchor to hold my life.
That's right.
And if that is the most important thing to me, and I hitch my wagon to that, then when it just takes a storm.
Yeah, that's it.
And then it all comes crumbling down.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Jesus will be king, is king, and will be physically king on this earth or a new earth, at some point, and he's going to be king forever.
Yeah.
And so that's the one that's, the anchor that's never going to move. That's the one I can endure whatever storm in. Yeah. But I've got to continually remind myself of that.
Yeah.
And everybody's got their thing, whatever your kind of find your identity in. And you've got to recognize that and fight against it. And just like all of us, we've got to continually every day renew and say, no, Jesus, you're king.
Yeah.
My bank account, God, open-handed.
Yeah. Right.
Whatever you want.
Right.
That's surrender. That is like, okay, Jesus is king in my life.
Right.
And for me, I've got to continue to do that. I've got to continue because I want to go back to the things I can hold and touch and right there, because faith is hard, is difficult. I rather just it's right here. I can get my relieve my anxiety by just this thing, but that's not ultimately will fail me.
It will.
Every time.
Every time.
All it takes is a storm to remind me.
Right.
Like why did I put my boat to that?
Right.
Like it fails me every time.
Right. And that is the last thought, which is identity is secured by who sits on the throne of our lives, and how someone's wearing the crown. Someone or something is wearing the crown in our life.
Yep.
It could be career, could be image, could be our kids. A lot of people make kids their God.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Could be politics, approval, whatever it is. You're going to put something at the center of your life, and that thing will ultimately define you. And something that we said in another series, but whatever we allow to define us that is not divine will destroy.
Yeah, that's good.
Ultimately, it will destroy us. It's going to devalue. It's going to pull away from who God has intended and created us to be and what God wants to do in our life.
Yep.
Whatever we make the center of our life, and man, it is so easy to put something there. It will ultimately destroy us. But we need to hide our life in God, and I think that's what's so beautiful about how Paul, I think, summarizes that whole thing, is that your life is now hidden with Christ. Your life is no longer your own. And he says that elsewhere. You're bought with a price. It's no longer your life, and that's a good thing. It's like, man, I willingly give this back to you. I willingly give this back to you because I know that if I'm in the driver's seat, we're going to end up making some calves out of golden jewelry.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something that is so dumb. But Lord, if I let you be the center, if I let you be the one who's wearing the crown, so you get to make the decisions, I'm I'm gonna bring that. Lord, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to move? Do you want me to sell our house? Do you want me to change jobs? Do you want me to invest in this? Do you want me to allow my kids to do that? Whatever it is, it's starting by saying, Lord, I'm going to live in surrender to you, and your will wins.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we just have to get to the point. Like, it's Jesus is the king.
Yeah.
He is the king, but will he be king?
Yeah.
And that's a decision every day that we have to make.
Yeah. I think it's just as you're saying that, I feel like it's the one thing we can truly control is where we put our worship and adoration and trust.
That's it.
It's like, can I really control whether I'm going to be alive tomorrow? No, I actually can't. Like I can't for sure. But what I can do right now is I can put my trust in the Lord, or I can put my trust in something else.
Yeah.
That's not meant to hold me and my life. And then I've got to go through those lessons of learning that again. And I just want to encourage anybody listening to this is, it can sometimes feel like you're being hung over a cliff, when the bill is coming due, when maybe you've gotten let go from your job, circumstances, especially out of your control. And you just feel like things are happening to you and it wasn't your fault, or sometimes it was, self-inflicted, but it can feel like you're being hung over a cliff. But I just want to encourage you, lean into that trust. I love the verse that says, no one who puts their hope in the Lord will ever be put to shame.
Right.
You will not be disappointed trusting the Lord.
Yeah.
And when you put your faith in him, that is putting him on the throne.
Yeah.
That is making him number one. And I think God put us on this earth in such a vulnerable place. You just think about life, how vulnerable. We can't predict whether we're going to be alive tomorrow. We're in this because that then creates tons of opportunities for us to trust God, or if we don't want to, not trust God,
right,
and then reap the consequences either way.
He's not going to force himself.
No, he's not. It's the one gift I can give him. Yeah. It's the one thing that he wants from me, that he is not going to twist my arm. He can answer my prayers and do all kinds of miracles and things on my behalf. But the one thing that he won't do is he won't make me trust him.
That's it.
That is up to me to do that.
And on that note, if you are listening to this, or if you're watching this and you have not put your trust in the Lord, then let us encourage you to do that today. It's as simple as saying, God, I turn from my way and I turn to your way, and I want to live for you. I turn from my sin and I accept your salvation. Again, it is a free gift. It's a free gift, and it's something to be received. And so I want to encourage you to do that. Thanks for joining us here on the Summit Park Church podcast. We hope that it encouraged you to find and follow Jesus in greater ways. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.